Hi everyone. A friend of mine approached me to ask about an investment opportunity in a property which involves the business that they are a specialist in. Um, it's it was more around the property side of things and also in the partnership with this investment. So I thought there's quite a few learnings here that I can share with many of you. So it's a investment opportunity that involves multiple partners. So one of the things I asked them to think about is what is your personality like when it comes to dealing with projects? If the project went slow, if there were delays, or when you're looking at the detail and the design, are you someone that wants to step in and get involved and help resolve the issues? Great. That's like that would definitely be someone I would like to work with because they would help keep the business going or keep that project going. But there's a lot more to it than that. So, what happens when things are just not going right? Are you going to lose sleep at night? Or when it comes to the partners' considerations or the other investors, what are they like? Are they all similar to you? Are they all analysts as well? Or are they all drivers? Do they all want to have their say and that their position is the right positions? Um, so these are really core things to think about because it can cause a lot of conflict and fallouts. Um, I can go on about this for quite a long time, and there are books about this as well. So I'll just move on to the next couple of points that I'd like to share. One thing with all projects that we always look at is consider the worst case scenario. If you've got someone who's in the sales type mentality, they're probably telling you the best case scenario, but make sure you work through the absolute worst case scenario. What happens if the project is delayed by 12 months or doubled? What happens if your main project manager leaves? What happens if a partner needs to pull out the funds? What happens if someone passes away? You need to go through all of this and talk through it all because, in reality, if a project lasts for 6 months, 12 months, any of this could happen. And if you're not prepared for it, even just mentally, it really throws off all the plans. So, work through the worst, work through the best, and then also look at what you're expected. So you've almost got three scenarios for each. Um, Now, when you're in a partnership, what's often quite nice is if you have different perspectives of things, it sort of helps, but you got to work on it together. So one person may always think the worst out of every topic that you talk about, whilst the others always looking at the positive sides. Having that balance, working it through systematically, will give you the success that you need. And the last thing to think about that I discussed with them was just if they had the opportunity to do two projects at once, would you go for it? Both looked very profitable, they can afford it, and it really sets them up for the future. Now, it's not an easy question to answer, especially because it's a relatively new project that they're about to embark on for both of them. Um, but what I generally advise people to do before jumping into a long-term partnership, I generally advise to look at working on a smaller project together. Understand how your dynamics work, understand what happens when things go wrong, because that's when someone's true personality really comes out when things go wrong. When things are all swimmingly, there's no problems at all. But what happens if, an investor pulls out? How do they deal with that? Or when things are delayed? Um, so what we do in our business is a lot of people tend to invest with us for a short period of time first, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, before we would even talk about looking at doing a long-term partnership. Um, Lots of people have come to us and wanting to do a long-term partnership. They wanted to do a large project together. They've seen an opportunity that they would like our expertise in, would like us to, to have 50% of that, where maybe they fund most of it, we fund some of it. But at the end of the day, it's just not something we would jump into. We need to have that smaller project and working relationship first, and that is so crucial. And that can take 1 year to 2 years before we even think about being happy about moving forward. Because it's only until you move into that long-term discussions with contracts, best case, worst case, all of that, when you can really see where you might be in such a partnership. Hopefully you found that useful, and thanks for listening.